Bienvenidas, bienvenidos. It has been a minute, but as you know, family takes precedence. And I wanted to share an amazing weekend that I had for Mother's Day. I hope all of you had a wonderful weekend, and for those whose mothers are still by their side, you were able to enjoy her, not just on Mother's Day, but every day. And so I was surprised with a visit to a beekeeping class and learned all about the amazing bees, and of course started to read about the history and wanted to learn more. So I thought I would share that with you today. Bees have shaped human civilization for thousands of years. We've been living with bees, we know, for at least 10,000 years, probably more. Of course, at first, we would harvest the honey wherever it was found in the wild. But eventually, at least 6,000 years ago, we started having hives close to our places where we lived. And as with many things, as with the kitchen garden and some of the animals and some of the herbal remedies, women were identified with beekeeping from the beginning. Fascinating, fascinating. For millennia, bees have been pollinating our crops, ensuring that we have food to eat, and maintaining ecosystems around the globe, around the world, for millennia. Within the story of humanity and its relationship to bees is another story. The central role of women in beekeeping. And that's the story I want to share with you today. So we know that for thousands of years, hives have been maintained by societies, from just a single homestead to small towns to larger farms all around the world. And so it's fascinating that bees take on a power of the divine during the Greek civilization for thousands of years. Demeter and Diana, protectors of the hearth and home, their priestesses were called Melissae. And Melissae is the word for bees in Greek. And these were priestesses that kept holy hives. And what is fascinating is that through what was donated at the temple, these women financed public works. So what we consider to be the fabulous Greek architecture and civilizations were funded by these women because of the power of the temple and everything that was given to the temple, always searching for blessings from the goddess. And through their beekeeping and using all of the products of bees, it was seen as participation in the divine. That's how holy bees were seen. Fascinating. From the beginning in history, women played a central role in the collection and the processing of honey. Of course, it is food, but it is medicine as well. The wax is used for sacred candles to this day. And all of the byproducts of the hive are precious. When we went to visit the hive, the first thing that you notice is an incredible, almost primordial smell that just envelops you from the hive. It's a very delicious scent. It is not the scent of honey, but it is the scent of a bee colony. It is the scent of the processing, the taking of nectar from the flowers and basically distilling it into this precious product called honey. And the smell is just intoxicating. And the hum of the bees is said to be, at the cellular level, very healthy for you. Beekeepers live longer than many other groups. And one of the thoughts is that humming of the bees is something that brings our whether it's PTSD or stress or whatever we have going on, it just makes everything relax. And so you may have seen there are now these beds that you can place next to a They look like a honeycomb, and you can lie in them near a hive and feel the buzz as you lie there, because it's so healthy and so good for you. This proximity to the sound of bees, amazing, just wonderful. And we had a wonderful teacher for the morning all about bees, and colonies range from 80,000 to 120,000 bees. Each bee only lives about 30-40 days, and so they do a whole lot during that a little bit more than a month lifespan. And the queen can live anywhere from 5 to 7 years, and so interesting because she will fly much farther out to mate. So she doesn't mate with the bees from her hive. And the male bees can only fly a little ways, so they actually can't fly as far as the queen flies. And then she keeps that sperm inside her, and so when she's laying her eggs, she mixes it with the egg and then lays the egg for the female bees. When a male is needed, she just puts the egg in. So it's so interesting that it's the females that are the fertilized eggs and the males are not. The drones and the worker bees. So just complex. It is complex, and I think we have a lot to learn from them. As one commentator said, the most important matrilineal or matriarchal society in our world, because it keeps the rest of us alive. So it was great to be there with my mom and my daughter who organized it, thank you, and my sister. So it was just a wonderful morning in an orchard learning about bees, and I wanted to share with you the history of the bees, from ancient priestesses to medieval healers to modern day salves. We use every part of the bee. You may have heard that things like propolis or royal jelly and all sorts of different types of honey. I think it's something like there are 4,000 types of bees in the world today, and we only talk or see a few. There are many, many, many in every part of the world, and some of them live by themselves. So the very least we could do is prepare a little bee hotel so that local bees can kind of hang out and get water. So that's my next project. I'm going to do a little bee hotel for the garden, so at least the local bees can kind of relax there. Going back to the history, I digress again. Since Egyptian times, the healing and spirituality associated with bees also was associated with women. And so it's really so interesting to see that in understanding that it was a matriarchal society, just all the good things in life are associated with honey and bees. It was the only sweetener available to most people before mass production of sugar. So let's say before 300 years ago, all you had was honey. Very few people ever tasted sugar from sugar cane or from other sources before 300 years ago. So it's relatively recent that we've had this problem with overuse of processed sugar cane. But before then, you would sweeten things with honey, whether you were baking or whether you were making mead, which is a beer made from honey that is supposed to be really good for you. It is said that that's what monks had for many, many years during their fasting during Lent. That's what they would have, mead, and it was enough to sustain them. So a lot of interesting facts with regard to honey. As I mentioned, hives were kept close to the house, and so with perhaps helping with the livestock and the herbal gardens and the household garden, the hive was something that the woman of the household, sometimes widows and unmarried women, would sell honey and byproducts as a way to gain some sort of income. So interesting that from the beginning it was associated with medicine as well, as a way of healing, to help injuries heal. And of course, in modern times, scientists have come to understand the complexity of honey and how important it can be in so many different parts of our lives. whether it's, again, food or medicine or beauty products or other uses like candles. It's just a lot that we gain from the bees, so I feel like we should be really grateful for bees. So beekeeping knowledge was local, mostly from observation traditionally, and women were really adept at beekeeping. And so in all the traditional societies you see that it is the women who are caring for the bees and for harvesting the wonderful honey and all of the extracts from the bees. So then you get to the 18th and 19th century, and in comes science. And of course, most scientific arenas did not allow the participation of women, but there is an exception. There's a woman by the name of Eva Crane, and she was a trained mathematician and became a global expert on honey and bees, and definitely should have her place in the history of understanding bees, because she was central to that for many, many years. In the modern world, there are beekeeping associations and clubs, and it is obviously full representation of anyone who's interested in bees. And in North America, there are currently about 115,000 beekeepers, and about 10% are women. And so interesting, because that's the complete opposite of 500 years ago. But it is a very special practice, and it's really healthy, and it's something that I want to learn more about and share with you, of course. So modernly, of course, bees are essential for agribusiness, and millions and millions and millions of hives harvest agriculture throughout the world today. And obviously there are lots of threats to bees. So pesticides and habitat destruction, all the things we know about that mean that many colonies will simply disappear within a year. And so they constantly have to be replaced with more bees to ensure pollination of agriculture around the world. And so what can we do to help? Well, there's urban beekeeping, which is really important. That helps keep the bees around, and the diversity, the genetic diversity and all that. And of course, there is making sure that your community and your farmers in your area know that your preference is bee-safe type of farming. And so at farmers markets, you can meet the people who are going to sell their honey and talk to the farmers and let them know what your preferences are, because we all want bees to be here forever, because if they're not here, we won't be either. It is absolutely a symbiotic relationship. So from ancient honey gatherers to modern environmental leaders, women have been central to saving the bees, just as the bees have been central to many of the roles of women in traditional societies. So we know that the history of bees and women is intertwined, and it's absolutely filled with the buzz of hope for the future. And now on to my favorite part of the video, the book recommendations. The first book I'm going to recommend is called Meeting the Melissae by Elizabeth Ashley. And this book is just delicious because she talks about the traditional Greek temples and goddesses and the role of women. It's just a wonderful read, highly recommended. It's just something that I'm enjoying thoroughly, and really look forward to getting your comments. What have you read on bees, and do you have any recommendations on books other than the ones I'm recommending today? I would love to hear from you. The second book is called Reverie, A Year of Bees by Jenna Butler. And this is her story of how she spent a year caring for bees and all the things that she learned, all of the lessons taught to her by the bees. And so I think this is it's actually my next read, and I'm really looking forward to it. So if anyone's read it out there, let me know, because I'm really looking forward to it. The next and final book in today's recommendations is Honeybee Biology and Beekeeping. And this is actually more of a textbook, but if you're interested in the matter, it's worth delving in. And I have it on order. I'm going to read it, and I just can't wait to learn more about beekeeping, because it just feels like it's a wonderful thing to to take up and to support. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for coming to the end of the video with me. As always, check your local library and your local booksellers. They will surely have some of these books for you to enjoy if you decide to read them. And as always, let me know what you think, what you're reading, what your experiences have been with bees. Thank you so much. Con mucho salud, mucho cariño, mucho amor. Gracias.
It's alright.